I don't know. What do I? You're the expert. What the hell do I know?
I'm not an expert in that. I'm not an expert in that.
Hey, you know what I mean? So, so let's go back to what you were talking about before. Remember, you were talking about where those roles are reversed, and you usually have a dominant woman and a submissive man. When when you've said you usually have seen the women like be like, I don't want to be in this role anymore. They're sick of it.
Mhm.
When does that usually happen? Is there a pattern when that happens? Does it happen after kids, before kids? Is it like when they're just sick of working? You know, when does that
No, I
actually?
would say it's in my experience, it's after kids and as the kids are getting older.
Mm,
And
okay.
they've raised their kids. They don't want to they don't want another kid. And
Oh, okay.
in the
That
same
makes
way,
sense.
the husband also is like, I'm not your kid. Like, stop treating me like your kid.
Right,
So
right, right,
it's,
right, right.
I
And
think that
she's
it's,
like, well, start acting like a man, right? I get
yeah.
it. Yeah, I see. Here's a good question. It's a little spicy. In situations like that, who's more likely to cheat?
Who's more likely to cheat in that
Yeah,
situation?
when the woman is dominant and the man is submissive.
Probably the woman.
I knew I liked you.
The same way that the man is probably
Right,
likely to cheat
exactly.
when he's the dominant.
Exactly,
So maybe
exactly.
that's part of
But
why
yeah,
women want
here's
to
I'm
equal the roles out a little, right? Like, I think
he,
women,
God, I'm sorry.
like, again, I'm not a feminist, like, I don't go to
No, I
that extreme
understand. I
by
understand.
any means, but I think that, there's something to be said for
Mhm.
raising girls to be able to take care of themselves and not depend on a man to take care of them.
Right. No, I agree, but at the same time, they're not being taught the values, the traditional values of being a woman. You could be taught both because men are being taught both, right? I mean,
When you're saying, like, the traditional values of being a woman, like,
well, look. I mean, being a mother and being a wife is not really applauded much anymore. It's being this strong, independent. I don't need a man.
I don't know if that's true.
You don't think so?
No,
Okay.
I don't agree with that. I'm
I
not getting that message that being I still, and this is coming, I wasn't, blessed with children of my own, so
me neither.
don't have kids, but I have stepchildren, but I don't have kids of my own. But I think that that is still the kind of, for the majority of women, is kind of the goal, is to be a mother. But I think that what's changed maybe slightly is that people are starting to realize that, like, that may not happen for you, and that's okay. You may not be a mother. That doesn't have to be the only goal, that there could be other goals. And then if you are a mother, that's awesome. But if you aren't, do you know what I mean? Or if you find
I
someone
understand,
great, but you might
but
not find someone. Not everybody finds somebody.
I agree.
But
Which
for them,
goal? Which goal is usually comes first? The independent, educated, career-minded, or the mother? Which one is usually comes first in a woman's life today in modern America?
like, chronologically, or
Yeah.
which they prioritize.
Which do they prioritize?
I think if you asked women, like, if they had to choose, you can either be a mother or you can have a
No, no, no.
successful
It's
career.
not what. It's not what you choose. What would you choose? What is happening in the country today? What do you see happening? Like girls get out of college, and what their priority is what generally in Western United States.
Yeah, they're starting their careers, but
Right, right,
that's
right,
not
right, right.
just the woman that's making the decision to postpone having children. The men are often on that same wavelength of let's kind of get, it's far more
Right, right,
expensive now to raise a
right,
child, so people
right.
are waiting longer, and like,
But I agree 100% that both men and women are putting their careers first today. But the difference is men could have children up until any age, where if you keep postponing it for women, I think after 35, they call it geriatric pregnancy, it becomes a
it,
lot more difficult.
it becomes more difficult, but it's
Yeah.
certainly feasible. And there's obviously, like, a lot of other means of, freezing eggs and things like
Yeah,
that.
science has
Advantage
come
of,
yeah, science has definitely helped.
I think
But
it's
then
that comes down to just like if you can either have kids when you're 18, like my mom had my
grandparents did,
brother
right,
when she was 20.
right,
Or what do you do when you're 18? You go to college,
right.
right? So
But if you
people are getting married
if you
later.
let's say you're a career-minded woman and you decide at 35 or 38 that you want to have children and you want to have a family, decide, okay, that part of my life is over now. Well, what I th- what about finding the right partner? Because it definitely becomes more difficult as you get older.
Well, I don't look at it as like you do one and then you stop that and then do the other. I think that people are looking for their partner through
Mhm.
that whole process, and then as a
Oh,
couple
okay.
decide.
So let's say that. Let's say that you have the same boyfriend at 21, and both of you decide that I'm going to put my careers first. Right now, I'm speaking. On when you write this out on paper, it makes sense. But we're all human, so this is what I mean by that. The human element comes in. Let's take that scenario. You meet your boyfriend at 21, you get married at 30, you're both career minded. Let's say you're both corporate lawyers for argument's sake, whatever. And then the wife has 38, says, I'm ready to have children. And the father says, fine. Generally speaking, the woman's going to stay home now and have children because they have enough money, right? This is, where we are at this point. What happens a lot is that the women spent all this time, education, um, education, career, making her own money. And now she has to put that at a full stop and put all that on her husband, which generally speaking, the husband is fine with. But now she has to deal with being the person that says that is not in a position of making money. And she has to deal with the fact that she spent that time looking for her education, getting her education, getting her career, and that's completely now over. And there is this there are these torn, guilty feelings that women have now in that position where it's like, wait a minute. I spent, I want to be a mother. I'm dying to be a mom, but I spent all these years trying to build a career and get an education. And then this confusion comes in and this guilt happens. And then when they do decide to be a mom and they're home with the kids, and then they have even more guilt. And even if the kids get to an age of like, let's say they get to an age where the mom can go back to work, there's still that guilt. I don't spend enough time with my children. I'm at work all the time, and my 10-year-old is with some nanny that I don't even know. And there's this constant back and forth with this. Now, I don't have the answer for it.
Mhm.
All I'm saying is these are real world problems. And I don't know how the hell we got on this topic from masculinity, but these are real problems. I have a friend moved to Florida, got married. She's a career woman. Even my own therapist goes through it. She actually told me that she went through it with her children, so on and so forth. And these are all things that need to be weighed out. It's never easy anymore because our society has progressed so much and roles have changed and things have changed. The nuclear family is falling apart and there's all this guilt in a woman's life, in a woman's life, and it's definitely can't be easy. Do you know what I mean? It can't be easy on a woman who establishes this fantastic career and now has to stay home and do nothing with that career that she set up, and abandon it because now she wants kids. But then she's also feeling that she really wants kids and her life
Is
isn't complete without kids.
Why does it have to be her that stays home?
Well,
So I have a couple right now that's
yeah,
they're about to have or they're trying to get pregnant,
right.
and they're both very successful. She happens to be more successful, so the plan
Mhm,
is that he'll stay home. That's a financial decision, not that
mhm.
one over the other is more wants to do that, they sort of
Mhm.
both would equally take that role, but it makes more financial sense for her to
Mhm.
be the one to continue working.
Right.
So I
Mm.
think that there's more
Well,
options. Like, I
yeah,
think like you
yeah.
you you see it sort of like
Well,
that's
there's
really
well,
a
there's a
negative.
couple, yeah, there's a couple of things. Uh, there's a couple of things there. My background and my world might be having an impact on my opinions, right? Because, like I said, I
All
come
of us,
from,
yeah, for
right.
sure.
But at the same time, I would really like to see how that plays out in 5, 10 years when the husband is home and the wife is making the money, because it might turn into the situation that you described before.
It will turn into that situation if their dynamic, which it's not, but if their dynamic were that she was the one taking care of him.
Mhm.
So if he was in a that's sort of where maybe I'm seeing the difference from what you're saying,
Oh,
is
I
that
see what
for
you're saying.
me,
Okay.
it's like, just because, like, I see it more as like equals rather than like someone's dominant and someone's submissive.
Well,
So
no,
I don't look
yeah,
at
yeah.
like, if there's no caretaking because someone's actually submissive, then there's not gonna be the resentment, because you're
Mhm.
just an equal and you're both kind of carrying your own weight in the relationship, however that looks.
Mhm. Well, when I don't when I say dominant and submissive, these are words that are kind of like have stigmas on them. Traditionally speaking, is the traditional roles is really what I mean when I say that. Okay, I don't mean dominant by to the point where it's abusive
No,
or
I didn't think you did. I didn't.
oh, okay.
I hope you didn't think I
But
was.
even if you take that scenario where, okay, listen, we're making this agreement. I make more money, so you're going to stay home with the kids. It is very hard for me to believe that she's going to be okay with her husband being home with raising the kids, and she's working 70, 80 hours a week. Um, and she's not with her children, because instinctively women want to be with their children, you know. So I mean, like I said, on paper it sounds great, but all these things that are happening in this new progressive society we're living in, you can't take out the human element. You can't take out the instinctual element, instinct element, so on and so forth, because it doesn't go away. Those things don't go away, and there are issues with them. And one of the issues is raising men that, that aren't men, that, they have to wear a helmet when they ride their bike and make sure your elbow pads are on, make sure your shoulder pads are on, and they're riding the bike with training wheels till they're 12.
Right.
you know
The extreme.
yeah, yeah, I have to put some humor into it, but
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
actually
not gonna be able to let my husband listen to this because he's
yeah.
gonna
You
take.
know what? What's funny is that it's so funny because um uh I live in an area that's mixed. My area is very mixed, and I see, like, when the lockdown happened, um I used to go jogging because I couldn't take not working out. And so I used to go jogging in the morning or at night, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And everybody would buy bicycles, and I would see there's this white kid, and he'd be with his father. They might be 12, 13, 14, and he had the helmet on, and he had the elbow pads on, and the knee pads on, and they're riding together in the street. And then I would take a look at these, like, there would probably be 3 or 4 black kids, and they're on their BMX bikes with no protective, in shorts and a t-shirt, pulling wheelies, jumping ramps. And I'm like, that's what I used to do. That's what kids are supposed to do. Not worry about falling with the helmet on with your dad at 12. You're supposed to be out riding your bike like a nut job, jumping over things, coming home with a broken arm, going, "Oh, look what I don't know. Maybe I feel like if you keep that kid in a
No, I
cage,
agree. I agree with that.
you
I
know,
agree with that.
you know. Well, thank you. I'm really glad you agree with me.
The one thing, right?
Yeah, well, you know what? That's why I want, when I first started this channel, I just did these on my own. And I want somebody else to come on and have a different point of view, right? What's the point of me spewing nonsense or spewing uh my beliefs or my point of view if I don't have somebody to counter it?
Mhm.
And And if you notice, I don't pick people that aren't educated, that aren't, I'm not picking, my aunt from, Brooklyn, you know, that's, I'm not picking that. I'm picking somebody like yourself who is able to have this conversation with me and give me stats and their experience and their education and so on and so forth, and have me go, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. That's true. And that happened a couple of times tonight, and I think that's good for me. And I think it's good for the audience because dialogue is something that is lost today too. I mean, having just dialogue from different points of view is lost. It's like my way or the highway today. And if you don't like, I don't agree with that. I think we could all learn something from different aspects of life. Like I said, when you started bringing up, like, the man and woman that, makes a ton of money together, like, I can't relate to that because I come from a blue collar world. My entire world is blue collar. You know what I mean? And inevitably the women are, not that they don't work, but they're in industries that are more womanly, like being a teacher or a hairdresser or, a social worker or, something in that category. Because, the guys, I'm a sewer worker. My brothers are electricians. My cousins are longshoremen. We're not going to be dating, corporate lawyers. It's just not going to happen.
My husband's a construction worker, pile driver.
See, that's why I like you. I knew it. I knew there's something about you. Like my
That's
cousin.
why I can't let him listen to this, because you're basically telling us our relationship's never going to work.
No. I would never.
I'm more, I guess, on paper, more dominant person. I mean,
No, I didn't say that it wasn't going to work.
I'm joking.
Oh, okay, good. Let's get the hell out of me, Jesus. I'm never saying. I'm never. But if you know, what's funny is that if you notice though, like, listen, here's the truth. No matter where the situation is, women wind up being, generally speaking, in relationships, women wind up being in the lead, whether they are the stay-home mom or whether they are the career-minded. They just see the chessboard better. And that's the that's just the God's honest truth. I have this joke that I say where I'm like, the leader of the Hells Angels, after 10, 15, 20 years of marriage, is saying to his wife, whatever, I don't care. Whatever you want to do is fine. It's fine with me. This guy went to jail for murder, and his wife, he comes home and he's just like, I don't care. Paint the house whatever color you want. You know what I mean? And that's just the truth. So inevitably that's the God's honest truth. There's this really good movie that you and your husband might like. It's called Let Him Go, and it was with Kevin Costner and who's the woman that plays Superman's mother in the new Superman's, Diane Lane. Yes, Kevin Costner and Diane Lane.
What's it about?
It's called, so basically what happens, it's a family during the early 60s, and they have a son, and they all live, they're farmers, and they all live together, and they're like live in middle America somewhere. They have a son who's married and has like a little boy who's like 2 or 3 years old, and their son, the father of the 3-year-old, has a tragic death. He dies out of nowhere, and their daughter-in-law gets remarried, and they wind up moving the kids away, right? And the grandmother, who is more of a dominant role, even though she's a stay-at-home mom, right? Can't take it. She can't take the fact that her grandson is not with her, and she sees that the stepfather is abusive. She saw him hit her daughter-in-law. So, and the father is a cop, so he's a very manly man. But in the movie, it portrays a relationship where, even though she's a stay-at-home mom, she treats him like a man, but she's still getting her way. Mm-hmm. So like before she goes and gets in the car and leaves to go find her grandson, the dinner form is on the table before she leaves. And he goes, what is this, my last supper? And she goes, if I'm going whether you want me to go or not. And then they just, so what's funny is he's driving, right? Which is really funny. He's driving, but she's really driving, mm-hmm. Right? All right. And then in the movie, she like pours him a cup of coffee while he's driving, cuts him a piece of cake while he's driving, but she's still getting what she wants. but at the same time, she's kind of treating him the way he, like a man and that kind of thing. And I think that's that whole aspect is kind of lost. I think I think it still happens here and there, depending on how people are brought up. But I think in general, I think that whole aspect is lost.
Yeah.
So,
I think that can exist in both directions though, right? Like I think
I guess, yeah. I guess it could exist in both directions.
yeah, I do those things for my husband. I like to cook, so I cook
Yeah,
when I'm
me
not
too.
working,
I,
but
I give you we were at a barbecue, me and my wife, and I asked my wife to make me a plate, and one of her girlfriends was like, "Oh, my husband better not ask me to make him a plate. He knows how to get up and get himself a plate." And it's like, Jesus, it's just love. She's just
I would get my husband a plate. I would be frustrated if he asked me to get him a plate.
really,
Yeah, because I'm doing that as a gift. So you don't ask for a gift. Like I give you a gift because I want to give you a gift and show you that I love you. But if you're asking me, then it feels like the expectation is that I'm supposed to. It's no longer a gift if I'm supposed to.
okay,
I wouldn't ask him to get me a plate either, but I would appreciate it if he did.
sure.
I don't know. I guess that's like I think I'm more like in the middle, and so I'm
Yeah,
getting kind of like
yeah,
caught in some of the extremes of like the kind of black and whiteness
yeah.
of some of the thoughts. But I think that you can have a relationship where both people respect each other,
Oh,
where there's
listen,
not like
yes.
someone in a more dominant or submissive role. That
Yeah.
they take care of
I
each
agree that um I agree that there can be relationships where you do respect each other and you do communicate and you do make it work, but it takes a little bit of, a marriage is work, you know.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, marriage is work. But you got to watch that movie. I think you'd like it because that's not
Yeah,
all,
I'll say, oh,
that's
let
not
it let
all
him
the
go.
movie.
Is that what it was called? Let him go.
Let him go, yeah. And it's not that. I mean, there's a lot more that happens in the movie, but it's just that aspect of it. I picked up, But yeah, listen, look, whatever works as far as I'm concerned. But my concern is these seeing young men that aren't responsible, that stay home way too long with their mothers, that aren't ambitious, um, that don't know how to treat a lady with respect. Um, I think that all comes into the title of the title of being masculine,
Mhm.
and I think it's somewhat lost. And I think I don't think we're ever gonna have what it used to be like. I don't think
I don't think we will. I
I don't
think
think
what happens with most things is that the pendulum swings.
yes,
So it went from one extreme, it's on the other extreme, and
right.
it'll kind of land
Yeah,
somewhere in the middle.
I
Where
I
I think
agree with you
it needs to be.
100%. I agree with you 100% on that. All right, I think it's a wrap.
Yeah.
I am out of ammo.
Fire.
Kendra, I really appreciate it,
Yeah.
and
Thanks
it's
for
been
having me.
it's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll definitely do it again. We'll do a different topic next time. I don't know what. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Send
And
me some questions in advance.
yeah, I'll definitely do that. And I will or if you have a particular topic you want to shoot at me, we could do. I think because we have pretty good dialogue, and I think people will enjoy it. And I think I would definitely want you to come back. I know our schedules are busy. It doesn't have to be next week. It could be next month. Whenever we get around to it. But it was a pleasure, truly.
Thank
And,
you.
and thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
Bye bye.